All right, I'm excited to be joined by Kelsie Steil. Kelsey is a choreographer. She has a show coming up in Biddeford that we're going to dig all into. Kelsey, I appreciate you coming on.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Is this your first podcast?
No, I've been in one other podcast
Yeah, nice.
before. Yeah.
So tell me some background. I want to hear all about you before we dig into what you got going on in town. Where you're from? How'd you make your way to Biddeford? All that stuff.
Yeah, so I'm from a mill town originally. I'm from Manchester, New Hampshire, in southern New Hampshire. Um, and I made my way through Biddeford through overtime, coming back and forth to Maine when I was in college. I got my degree in adventure education and a minor in dance. And in the summers, I would work on Casco Bay as a sea kayak guide doing wilderness expeditions. And I just easily fell in love with Maine and its rugged wilderness.
Yeah.
And at some point, I moved here and connected with Mandy Green, who's a local Pilates studio owner, the studio Forever Fit.
Yeah.
And I started working with her, and then I built clients, and I live in Biddeford and have for some time now. And that was a really long response to your answer. But through the wilderness and through movement and Pilates and being an artist, that's why I'm here.
There's so much to dig into there. But the first thing that caught my ear was the idea of getting a degree in adventure education. And I don't know that I've heard that term before. Where do
Mm-hmm.
you go to school for adventure education?
There's a handful of schools in the US where you can get that degree, but essentially it's you're doing knot tying, you're learning, how to rescue people, you're learning different hard skills as they say,
Yeah.
but you're also learning the soft skills of group facilitation and what they call experiential education, learning by doing and reflecting off of life experience rather than purely theoretical knowledge. So it's a great program. It's Christian Bisson and Jamie Hannon run it at Plymouth State University, which is
Oh, nice.
set in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. Yeah.
Love it. Is that something you always wanted to do, or did you kind of fall into that field of schooling?
So I've been an artist in the performing arts for a long time. And then I've always loved nature. I mean, there's pictures of me as a little kid hugging trees. They exist, and I
I
still do that
love
to this
feeling
day.
it.
I'm not gonna lie. You may find me at Clifford Park hugging trees. That happens. And so, yeah. So I've always been attracted to nature, but I've loved being a leader, and I think that I'm a leader in both the outdoor setting, and I harvested that skill, and then so being a leader in the arts was something that kind of was an easy flow. It's not too different facilitating artists and facilitating 12-year-olds in the middle of nowhere, and you're teaching them how to start a fire. It feels similar in some ways, and I think that's also really beautiful. Did I answer your question? I feel
No,
like I
no,
just
totally
got off
good.
track there.
How did it go from doing that as your major in college to dance and what in the productions that you're doing nowadays? I assume dance has always been a part of your life.
Well, yeah. So my background in the arts started in public school education. My family wasn't in a situation where we could afford for me to get training from, let's say, a dance studio or an academy or go away in the summers.
Yeah.
And so I had the gift of public school arts education, and I had teachers in whether it was music, choir, theater, acting, and then dance.
All right, if you've been enjoying the podcast, I wanted to let you know that I am a residential loan officer with CMG Home Loans. If you or anyone you know is looking to buy a home or refinance, please let me know and I'd be happy to help. My contact information is in the description below. Back to the podcast.
I went to Goffstown High School, and we had a stellar arts program.
Yep.
I got really lucky. I got really lucky is all I can say. And so I always had that in me. And since those opportunities weren't so easily attainable, when I had the opportunities, I really was hungry. And so fast forward to college, I actually started as an acting major. And then I believe I am like a scholar of life. So for me, it mattered what I studied, but I feel like I get so much out of so much topic matter. I felt like if I went down the outdoor route, it would just help me develop as a person. And so I held on to my dance minor and started making choreographies within the dance program at Plymouth State. And I actually ended up earning the Contemporary Dance Award when I graduated for my choreography work. So
Nice.
during the week, I would be doing expeditions, and then I would also be making art. And so to say I had a really transformative and invigorating college experience would be an understatement.
And then you mix in some Pilates stuff.
Yes, we mixed a little bit of Pilates in there. Yeah, when I was in college, I met a fellow dancer, a modern dancer, and I consider myself to be a modern dancer, even though I dance in various styles, who did Pilates, and she really inspired me. And when I got to Maine and I had graduated and I was doing outdoor work and I was dancing professionally and making work and starting to seep into the culture here in Maine, the arts culture here, I was like, well, what can I do that can keep my body strong, but also can help other people? And I could use my facilitation skills. And that made me reach out to my lovely friend and mentor in Pilates, Mandy Green. And then
Yep.
from there, it was really meant to be.
Yep.
She is incredible.
Are you
And
still working at Forever Fit now?
yes, yeah, I work there a lot. I am there a lot of the week. I have quite a big client load, and it's a great place if anyone wants to do Pilates. It's great.
So I should say, I mean, a lot of people know that I know Mandy. I grew up with Mandy, so it's kind of a small world because we were
Yeah,
connected
yeah,
a different way to come
yeah,
on the podcast, and then it just so happens that you work with Mandy and
yeah.
Mandy's daughter. I mean, both of Mandy's daughters and two of my daughters are very, very good friends, best friends. So,
It's
um,
small world, as they
well,
say. It's like the Biddeford. It's like the family wreath. They say like the Biddeford family wreath. Yeah, it's great.
you got to tell Mandy to come on the podcast. I mean, I had her husband on the podcast, and I got to get Mandy on here
We'll
talking
just
about
get the
Forever.
whole family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, let's do it. So all that stuff is very cool, but dances and choreography is the big thing right now. Obviously, you're spending a lot of time at Forever Fit, but like this is
Yes. Yes.
something a very big part of your life right now. And some of
Yeah.
the stuff, yeah, I am not a dancer, as you probably can tell looking at me. People that listen, I'm not a great dancer. After maybe a couple drinks at a wedding, maybe doing some research on you, your work is described as cerebral and visceral. What
Mhm.
does that mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So my work, I would say it's a very, this is what I've been told too, but I would say it's very authentic. It's very raw. And when it's described as cerebral, I mean, it's a work that is created through heavy thought process and research and is thought provoking. So when you look at it, you are able to kind of go in many different directions in your own head and come to your own conclusions and have hopefully conversations with the person next to you after, or your family or a friend. And that's really what many choreographers, create work that is like that. And that's the point, it's dance, but also just live art in general is meant to, portray the human experience. And that's, like the outdoors, tying back into that, right? That work that I did, it's the same thing. It's like you're faced in these human experiences, and I think dance is very athletic. It's very physical, and it's meant to emit a story. And so that's kind of what that, I believe, means. And I think dance and live art, I think it's something that's fading. We're in a very technological age, and it's not very often that we see something right in front of us and we're just in the moment with that thing,
Yep.
you know? And so what I think is really cool about dance is, and more people should see dance, because a lot like athletics, it's in the moment. It's this, we're all congregating to see this physical act and this physical story take place right in front of us. Yeah.
I think that's well said. I
Mhm.
know me personally, I'm always trying to find those experiences where I'm not thinking
Mhm.
about work and
Mhm.
paying bills and whatever things that you're stressed about in the moment. Like there's things that you can really enjoy, whether it's a sporting event or dance performance or just things like that and being
Mhm.
outside, so I can appreciate that. So your work delves into mental health and
Mhm.
trauma.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. 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 So, as you know, I'm producing a work called Split My Soul. It's going to premiere at the City Theater, the beautiful historical City Theater right in the heart of Biddeford.
Yes.
Split My Soul, it's comprised of 7 characters, and those characters are just physical manifestations of characters that I've seen in my own life, archetypes I've seen within my own life, and also characters within myself that I've pulled through from myself. My work, that work in particular, it pulls from life experiences.
Mhm.
And what's great about art is that it can start, if you so choose, it can start from a personal place. But then when you share the personal through your art, you're able to work. Our situations and the things that we've experienced aren't so personal when you really break it down. We all have these different characters and scenarios that have played out in our own lives. And so that's a lot of my work deals with themes of, yeah, depression and anxiety and different scenarios that have been laid out before my eyes, but really they're shared abstractly to help bring people together to create conversations about how we can better care for ourselves and the people around us and have more empathy for the situations and the people around us.
Is it hard for you to put yourself out there that way, or is this more like
It's
therapeutic for
definitely
you?
not easy. It's
Yeah.
definitely not easy, but it is my life's work. This is going to sound trite, but I I think about it every day. I think about
Mhm.
my work as a choreographer every day. It is very vulnerable to show up this way publicly with my art, but it's worth it because it's a beautiful experience to create. The process of creating this work is so deep, and
Yeah.
all the dancers involved, all the conversations we have, the blood, sweat, and tears, as they always say. Like, it's so profound. I'm very process driven, but then also what the audiences say about the work after. And even if I had 5 conversations and hundreds of people saw something, those 5 conversations that are so meaningful are so worth it because they can really heal people. I showed a work called The Turbulent Emergence this past summer at the Leela Festival, which is in Rochester, New Hampshire,
Yeah.
which is a public art dance festival. It's wonderful. And I
Yep.
had folks come up to me and say, "Thank you for being really honest." And they just saw a work that anyone could have taken it anyway. But
Yeah.
I had people thank you for being honest when they saw bodies move. There's something in that.
Yeah.
There's something going on there. So yes, it's vulnerable, and yeah, I'm scared, but I love what I do.
Yeah. I want to dig into Split My Soul
Okay.
because it sounds like a big. Anytime you have a show at City Theater in Biddeford, that's a big deal. I'm sure you've obviously been working a ton on it. There's a lot of people involved.
Yeah.
When did this all start? Like, when did you like? Okay, I'm going to be able to get a show that I'm producing into
Yeah.
City Theater. Has this been a long time in the works?
Yes. So, I mean, up until Split My Soul, I've created works that are maybe maximum 20 minutes in length, or they can be. I have a work that's 5 minutes that I show at multiple festivals. It's kind of the business of being a choreographer is you make something and then you can show it different places, right? Share your work, involve different dancers,
Mm-hmm.
involve yourself. I dance in my work
Yep.
often, not Split My Soul. Split My Soul, though, started in January of last year, although the excavation of the characters in the story might have been a lifelong
I
journey
was going
that
to say it
happened.
sounds like a lifelong journey. It's like,
That happens subconsciously,
yeah.
right? It's like, and so, um, yeah, I talked to some trusted friends and said, "Hey, I want to do this thing. I really want to produce an evening length show that I completely originally made up." And so I started doing that. I drew these character sketches, which you'll see on all of the media on my website, that are the 7 characters of Split My Soul. I drafted up an entire dramatic structure or script. I got in touch with a pretty well-known composer named Michael Wall, and we started talking about the origins of the music, which is like 90s grunge is actually at the core of the music of Split My Soul. And we we had many meetings about the music, and he completely made it with my edits here and there, but he did a beautiful job. composing the score. I got a team together of locals, of seamstress who helped me with ideas, with a local woodworker and graphic designer named Michael Began, who drafted up the set design renderings of the wall and the triangles that all have their own representations in the work. So it's truly a local endeavor. The composer is from out west, but he's originally from the east. And the cast is comprised of almost entirely Biddeford or Maine residents, quite a few from Biddeford though, at least who are in part of the research process. So it's this is why I'm not dancing in it, by the way. It's like there's
Yeah.
so many different, there's so much to orchestrate. I have so many different text chains, right? I have the media team, the photo and video people. I have a Patreon that I upload behind the scenes content to. We have weekly rehearsals that are long, and I lead the warm-ups to strengthen their bodies, and then we dive into the artistic process of the scenes that I have in my mind that I put on their bodies. So it's been a long process, and it all comes to fruition this January at the City Theater.
It's
So,
exciting.
yeah.
But everything you described,
Mm.
it sounds like it's not. I mean, you're producing art, but it's not the dancing part, which is like where it all started. I mean,
Yeah.
you're running a production. How do you even know to do the things that you're doing? Do you have someone that's guiding you? Have you been a
Mm.
part on lower levels of production?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Observe people and carry some of that stuff with you. I would be lost if I were you. How's
Yeah.
that?
That's a really good question. Okay. So I've been in the arts for some time. I've worked as a dancer. I've worked as an actor. Whether it was in high school when we did those big productions, or I've worked as a dancer in pretty big productions. So I have a sense of what needs to happen. But I would say a lot of it's intuition. I know that's not a great answer, but a lot of it's intuition. I have a pretty clear image of what I want, how I want to present my work, and what I'm looking for. And my style of dancing that I put out there is, a kind of specific style. How would I know? I just know that word needs to get out at certain time frames. I know that images are important.
Mm-hmm.
I know that communication and teamwork are vital things, which is, my background does feed into that. I also love people, and I love a group effort. I don't need it to be all me. I really love dispersing and delegating and getting people's feedback on what they think, And when you grow up and you're you're paving your way on your own in many ways with lots of help from beautiful people, you learn how to work with other people. And so, yeah, it's dance and it's art and it's a production with many different departments. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's coming together nicely. So it premieres on what day? When's the opening night?
January 3rd at 7:30 p.m. at the City Theater
Is
in
that a
downtown
Friday?
Biddeford.
Wednesday, Friday?
Yep,
What day?
it's gonna be Friday, Saturday. So it's
Friday,
gonna be
Saturday.
a Friday show and a Saturday show. Yep.
Nice. So you got that weekend.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
Selling tickets right now.
Yeah,
For
there it's happening. Yep. Get your
where can people
tickets.
where can people find tickets?
citytheater.org/tickets. Scroll down and you'll see 2 dates for Split My Soul.
Love it. And I'll obviously do my best to share that and promote it. That's the whole idea. So what else do you have in your mind? I mean, this is obviously a big thing. We got a month and a half, and even less than that, 5 weeks till you get to that point. Are there certain things that you
Mm.
hope to do in the future beyond that?
Mm. Yes. Yes, I want to bring this work to low income rural areas with an accompanying dance movement therapy workshop led by dance movement therapist Ellie Lovin. She's a good friend of mine and a fellow dancer and a dance movement therapist. And essentially, those workshops would just be decompressing after the show and processing the show through art, through the sketches that I created myself to align with my artistic process, and then thinking about what are these characters in my own life. What characters do I see that I run into, right? And just showing the power of expression through the outlet of you know and mental health in the movement modality of
Yeah.
dance, but also the arts and visual art or poetry or things like that, which have been very powerful tools in my own life. but then I do want to take this show wherever it can be, wherever it'll be seen, wherever people will take it on.
Is that
But I
doable?
just,
I don't understand how that part works because it sounds
mm,
like a good sized cast and all this other
yeah,
moving parts. Is it something that you can take
mm,
people with you and show at other places?
absolutely. It just
Yeah.
takes more funding.
Yeah.
Donate by
Yeah.
visiting kelsiestyle.com/split
Is
my soul.
I
But
honestly
yes,
didn't want to dig too much into that stuff, and that's cool that you mentioned it because I'd
yeah,
love to create awareness of that for you. But
yeah.
I hear all these things, and I do wonder how
Mm.
all this sort of stuff is funded, and if it's just
Oh yeah.
people that are donating, putting calls out to the public. Is it dance
Hmm.
community supports here? How that all works? But
Well,
that is
that's a
how.
whole other aspect. That's a whole other aspect that I didn't even bring into talking about the production because I completely forgot. Yes, so much of my week is comprised of writing letters. It is of writing grants. Is of contacting local business owners and saying, "Hey, do you want an ad in the program? Do you want to support this unfolding show?
Yep.
This Split My Soul is fiscally sponsored by a 501c3 nonprofit called Fractured Atlas." And so it is tax deductible donations. And so, but I love that we're talking today because this work has been supported by local businesses in the Saco Biddeford area. It's all on my website if you scroll down, and the list is building. And I get emotional thinking, you know, it's coming from neighbors who believe in the work. It's coming from local businesses that we go to all the time to grab our coffee or our ice cream. It's pretty cool, and this is a grassroots effort with a lot of potential to be prestigious and big. I think it holds both. It's both. you
Yep.
know it's salt to the earth, and it's big and beautiful.
So, are you nervous about the whole thing, or are you just more excited? Like, where are you at right now, mentally?
I am I have confidence in my work. I have confidence in Split My Soul, and my dancers are very special, beautiful people. My nerves are maybe the amount of self-realization I'm having through this work, but I have so much support. And so the nerves are probably just excitement nerves. But I'm very lucky with the amount of support that I have, the friendships, the colleagues, the fellow creative people of all ages and walks of life. And I am excited to share this with this community because I think it's a form of healing arts, and it's going to be interesting too. Yeah.
So, I have some young kids. Would you say this is more of an adult
Mhm.
type show, or is there
Mhm.
aspects that a kid could enjoy? I mean, honestly, I don't know if that's a thing that you talk
Yeah,
about.
I think kids, I mean,
If they like dancing,
I would say so. The ticket link says 16 plus. I would say it's 12 plus after talking to many of my friends. I don't have children, but
yeah.
after talking to many of my friends with kids, because most of my friends have kids, 12 plus feels okay. It's darker themes, but it's abstract. So it's not like it's blatant, like something, very explicit is happening. It really, it's not. I would say it's dark. I would say there's moments, but it's all just expression through dance.
Yeah.
So I would say 12 plus, but I know that a lot of the casts who have kids, their kids are going to come
Yeah.
to it. So yeah.
Well, I mean, if Mandy's going and bringing her daughter, I'm sure my daughter, my oldest daughter, would want to go too. So,
Yes.
and I'll spread the
Yes.
word to
Yeah.
my wife
I,
and
I
stuff.
encourage them to come. Yeah, I think it's going to be cool to kids. And I think what I've learned about children is that they like the darkness a little bit. Like they can go there more than
Mhm.
we give them credit for.
My
So,
kids did go to the show that you had. We were talking about offline
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
few weeks ago. And I
Oh,
know
the
they,
fundraiser event.
yeah, the
Yeah, yeah,
fundraiser event too. So they were there for that as well. So
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I met them. I'm sure I
yeah,
met them. Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. Oh, what, you don't remember all their names and everything about them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
well, listen, I think that that's a good place to wrap it up. I'm really excited
yeah,
for you, like to hear everything you said about the show. Like it sounds like your life's work, and you're
yeah.
pouring your heart and soul into it. So I hope it goes well, and if I can be a part of spreading the word for you, over there. So where can people find you online before I let you go? There's the website. There's probably
Yep.
Instagram. Tell me some of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So my website is a great place to learn about my body of work. It's kelsiestyle.movement.com. And if you want to see Split My Soul and get tickets, you could just do split my soul.
Yep.
My Instagram is at Kelsie Steil Choreo, which is just like CHOREO.
Yep.
And those are great ways to get in touch with me or just to follow what's going on with a local Biddeford choreographer.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll share those things too. So, Kelsey, thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate the time. Look
Thank
forward
you.
to
Thank you
your
for your
show.
questions and for
Yeah,
everything you're doing.
awesome. All right, have a good day. We'll talk soon.